Hey, what's going on YouTube? So a few weeks ago we did an oil change on the Tacoma, and this week we are going to do an oil change on my girlfriend's 2018 Maxima. This will be the first time that I've done an oil change on this particular vehicle, and it's a little bit tighter underneath here. So obviously, like any typical front wheel drive car, they're tucked in a little bit tighter, and they have covers over things to make it harder to see and get to things. I don't even know where the oil filter is on this vehicle, so I'm going to see if I can figure out where it's at. I'm guessing it's probably on the back side. I'm going to have to get up underneath the car. I wish I had ramps. That would make this easier, but I don't have ramps at this point, so I'm going to have to use a jack. So at this point, I got the front end jacked up. Always use jack stands. Do not trust your life to a jack. Don't crawl underneath any vehicle that is just supported by a jack. Always use jack stands. And jack stands that are on solid surfaces. Like I'm in my garage here / driveway. The jack stands are on concrete. So always be safe. So now I'm going to crawl underneath the car and see if I can locate where the oil filter is. All right, for the oil change on the Maxima, the oil pan's right here. There's like a flap, and there's kind of a hinge in the plastic. So I had to pull 3 body clips and hinge the skid plate out of the way. You could probably just cut that off because it's annoying, but I'm not going to. This isn't my car, so drain plug's right here, and it took me a little while to find the oil filter, but it's actually right back in here. Yeah, so you can see that right up in there. All right, it takes a 14 millimeter. For the oil filter, I'm just using a breaker bar and this oil filter wrench. It feels like it fits on there. It's an OEM 25404. Feels like it fits. The downside is this is right above the frame, so it's probably going to make a mess all over the frame. Yep, that's exactly what it's doing. That is not cool. I don't like things that make messes like that. It's just not cool. Why can't you just have a clear shot so that I don't have to make a mess all over my vehicle? I don't see any way to stop that either, to avoid that, like, to keep it from happening. That's ridiculous. Come on, Nissan. Why does it seem like things are designed by people that never take maintenance into consideration? So I got the new oil filter in there. We're just using a Fram. She changes her oil every 5,000 miles. And I'm going to try and clean up the frame. You go hand tight and maybe a little bit more, but you don't want to be putting these on with a wrench. You'll never get them off. Big surprise. Plastic clips break? No. And luckily, I did have extra clips, thanks to my dad. So for her car, we're using the same Valvoline's full synthetic, 0W20. But this time it was cheaper just to buy 6 individual quarts rather than the big jug, at least at the time that we ordered this oil. So in the 2018 Maxima with a 3.5 liter V6, it takes 5.1 quarts. 0.1 would be about 3.2 ounces or 100 milliliters. And we got markings on the bottle. We can kind of see where like 4 ounces would be. So we warmed it up and then let it sit so the oil can drain back down, and then check the dipstick to make sure that there's the proper amount of oil in there. I didn't want to bore you with that and let it sit there running and all that. So I just skipped filming that part of it. One last thing I want to add before we wrap this up. This is an easy thing to do at home, but be sure you are disposing of your oil properly. You can take it to AutoZone, you can take it to O'Reilly. I'm not sure about like Napa, but you can take it to most of those places and you can dispose of it for free. They don't charge you anything, so do it the right way. All in all, it wasn't too difficult. I do prefer changing the oil on my truck because it is a lot easier. I don't have to jack it up in order to get underneath it. So that's it for this week. Next week, we're going to rotate the tires. See ya.